So without drag queens, what would life be? No more kissing in the yellow booth. No, we're not going to have the chow mein line. But anyway, this is an article from Vice of some people who have now lost their jobs. Their livelihoods have been ruined by the evil right wing because the right wing have passed a law saying you can't do sexual dances in front of children.
This is just like Auschwitz. Every single time.
Yeah, basically. So we'll start off just with Frank DeCollis, the tragedy of liberation, because these people have also been befell tragedy from their lives because they've been told they can't dance in front of kids no more with their tits out. So
I believe this was one of Mussolini's most notorious policies as well.
The worst thing Mussolini did, in fact. I think this is the only thing people are annoyed about that he did.
He went to Ethiopia specifically
to oppress drag queens.
Yeah.
But this is real. I thought we'd do this just to cheer ourselves up. It's Friday. Let's try and have some fun. And
this image is not cheering me up, Callum. So far, you're failing.
I
need to ramp it up.
Make you smile. Somehow. So, the news here. At the end of last year, Nashville-based drag queen Perplexity started hearing murmurs about the proposed bill in Tennessee, God, I love Tennessee, that would ban drag queen performances across the state. At the time, she didn't think the bill would pass. Because why would you? Republicans don't do anything. Quote, I hoped that it would be one of those horror stories that they were trying to scare us with, Perplexity told Vice News. Never in the current year would something like this really happen to us.
I will say, with all the joking, I am glad that some state legislatures seem to actually be doing things.
Yeah.
It's nice to see. And congratulations and well done for those of you living in those states that do actually do things.
And if we go to the next link here, the thing I want to remind people, she's like, I don't know why this would happen to us innocent drag queens. I don't know why we're in the spotlight.
It's still not making me smile.
Yeah, you may have seen this. This was mentioned on Bill Maher. A lot of people didn't know what the lady was referring to. This is a child getting a lap dance from a drag queen who is not sexualizing children, I swear.
I am not allowed to say my thoughts on this matter.
North
honestly.
Carolina there.
YouTube would not be happy. Mr. Mohan,
back to the article.
I know you're listening.
Because for some reason, people in Tennessee saw that and went, yeah, let's pass the bill. This shouldn't be legal. What do you think? So they yeah. But then it did last month. Tennessee became the first state to effectively ban drag shows. The bill, signed into law by Governor Bill Lee, criminalizes, quote, adult cabaret performances that take place in public or in venues where minors could view them. That's not banning drag queens. That's not banning drag queen performances.
No, that's just saying don't be a perv.
Don't do it in public, you weirdo. What would you do in public anyway? And don't put on a strip dance in a drag performance in a venue that's got kids.
What are you, a homophobe?
This isn't asking a lot.
You're basically genociding trans children.
So, yeah, that's the news, which is good news, obviously. So, smile, you bastard. But then the fact that
the governor's name is making me smile because he's literally Governor Billy.
I just noticed that. But this is what's destroying these people's livelihoods. Adult cabaret performances included topless dancers, strippers, and male or female impersonators. We'll get back to that phrasing.
Impersonators.
Yeah, because
that's interesting phrasing.
Though the law has been temporarily blocked by a state judge already. A surprise. Already, GOP politicians in more than a dozen U.S. states, including Arizona, Kentucky, and Oklahoma, are also doing the same thing because they were like, "Yeah, hang on a minute, I don't know why that's legal. Wait, why do we?"
Oh yeah, we must have missed that one. Nope.
Strip shows for kids. I thought that was a crime, Billy. No, Governor Billy says it's not.
He's just there like, we never really had to worry about this until a few years ago.
For some reason, something happened. Perplexity and her co-workers were horrified. Panic really set in, and I was like, wow, do we really have a job anymore? It just reminds me of those videos like, wow, what are you, Hitler?
Wow, do we really have a job here anymore? I mean, you only have to worry about that if your only audience was children.
Yeah, I mean, Perplexity, if you're listening. If your job was entirely made up of dancing sexually in front of kids, yeah, you don't have a job anymore. Good. I'm on the side. Yeah, that's a good thing. If it isn't, then yeah, you still have a job. If you were doing this for adults in an adult setting, in a private venue, as many drag queens before, I remember when this blew up, the whole drag queen thing never was a thing. And then some, because it was a niche thing in culture, And then some drag queens came out at the time, then they were debating about should this be allowed in front of kids, being like, no, I do these performances, I do them for adults, that's the purpose in them. Why would you do this in front of kids? Why would you want to do this in front of kids? But no, this lady over here is like, wow, my life's ruined. Do we even have a safe space here anymore? She said. Because if I can't dance in front of kids, my life is over. Perplexity works in Nashville's Big Drag Bus, a party bus where people can watch drag queens perform as they travel through the capital, equipped with LED lights, blaring music. Even with everything going on, they want to keep working.
That sounds horribly annoying.
It sounds like a real pain in the ass. But good news, you just tint the windows. There you are. I know it's hard, but there you are. It's now a private setting in which there are no kiddos.
Or stop being such degenerates.
Yeah, I mean, or you could just get a job, but yeah, whatever. So Vice News spoke with 6 drag queens about the rise of drag bands, the motivations behind them, and what's it like to live in Tennessee today as the state becomes increasingly hostile to LGBTQ people. No, it's TQ plus people, that's all it is. Though Republicans have framed drag queens as a threat for some reason, such as the previous example we've shown, but some reason, who knows, and falsely equated their work with paedophilia or grooming, I don't think it was Republicans who did that. I think some of the performers did that with the performances. The drag queens believe that the bans aren't about children at all. They're part of a broader GOP and often evangelical attack on LGBTQ people. Essentially, those who are trans and gender non-conforming. TQ. They actually just did it for me there. There is no mention of homosexuals. There is no mention of bisexuals. Why would there be? There's nothing to do with these people.
I've heard all of this so many times before.
But I just love how they actually do come out and say no. They don't even try and play the game of like, oh yeah, gay kids, transsexuals. No, I think you might have noticed, the word homosexual, the actual LGB part, has been completely dropped from the dialogue from such people. As they say, just trans and gender non-conforming. I was like, oh, interesting. Also the point of, it's all the evangelicals. It's like, why would atheists be on board if it was all a Christian thing? But yeah. Beyond the drag ban, the state has pushed aggressively to introduce even more anti-LGBTQ legislation. Last month, the state banned gender-affirming care for youth. So that's T. Okay. While the ban would also allow teachers to misgender trans students.
Just, what, be honest to them.
Sorry. So, that is the maddest framing I've ever heard. So reality is, you've got a student, they say they're the other gender, they're obviously not. The teacher is like, oh no, Billy, you're a boy. What's wrong with you?
Straight to jail.
So the American government criminalized that and instead enforced compulsory speech codes that you had to say the lie. And so the government is like, in Tennessee, maybe we should get rid of speech codes that are compulsory, because that's Orwellian as hell. And these people frame that as, they make it legal to misgender trans students on purpose.
I just like the idea that the Tennessee state office was just like rifling around some drawers and they go like, guys, look at this. It's this Constitution. There's this bit here about free speech at the beginning.
Congress shall make no law. This is not about children, says the drag queen. This is about pushing the LGBT community back to the closet. Except I'm not going to mention any LGBs, because they're not part of the conversation. If it were about children, they say, they would focus on other issues that are ongoing.
Here we go.
Like foster care and gun control. What's wrong with you? Like, of all people, yeah, that's your response, because you live in Tennessee, you know what's going on.
People could worry about more than one thing at once, and these people are seeing, like, drag queens grinding up against children, and they go, how could guns do this?
Several drag queens also warned that their bans and myths surrounding them could threaten their livelihoods and their lives. Because, if your revenue model was based on stripping in front of kids, yeah, this does threaten your livelihood. There's also a ban on, I don't know,
maybe these people are just surprised that there turned out to be so much money in it.
But like, there's it's illegal to make CP, for example. There's a ban on that.
And for now.
But I don't know. I think that's pretty good. I think
it's a very good thing as well. But California's going to be like, we've introduced some progressive new legislation.
Turn up out of nowhere, like, you're keeping livelihoods for hardworking queer folk down. Like, no.
Don't care about queer children.
So that's wrong morally. That's why I don't care if you're losing a buck or two from being able to strip with kids. The language in the Tennessee drag ban is vague, which leads queens to worry about what enforcers will look like. I don't do any stripping in my shows or any sexual simulation on stage, so technically the bill doesn't affect me at all, says Veronica Electronica. Congratulations, then. It literally doesn't apply to you. What are you moaning about? I don't know why you're upset. They say, so if I'm performing it to a song, do I need to adjust my padding or make the gesture or move my hips or my body in a certain way? Is someone that wants to look at it as a sexual way, can they prosecute me for that? I was like,
okay, right. By that sounds like there's an admission that there is some kind of dancing involved in the show that could be taken as being sexual. And given the way that these people try to obscure everything they do,
just don't do it in front of kids.
yeah, maybe
Not that hard.
maybe you're dancing in a cross-dressing outfit, which is, let's be honest, inherently sexual in itself.
Kind of the point.
Yeah, that why else would you be doing it? Is probably sexual.
But I just love
So
the
not
idea.
in front of kids.
Like, if you're having to sit there and be like, does my job make me look like a nonce? You're probably doing it wrong. Probably get another job.
And
Really weird, mate.
I've seen people on the left pointing to things like, what is it, Mrs. Doubtfire, the Robin Williams film,
Oh, yeah.
and go like,
So nothing-
you've been entertained by drag your whole life. It's like, yeah, but he's not doing like a weird strip tease in
Nor
front
is
of
it even
children.
slightly the same.
And
Like,
it's not sexual. He's just dressed as like a grandma.
the outfit isn't grandma with like big circles showing off her cleavage or like nipple tassels only. Like I've seen them try to compare it. Like Americans have learnt about panto, the occasional one.
Oh, yeah.
We'll tell them and be like, oh yeah, isn't this just like this panto thing in Great Britain?
No.
And there's all the British people underneath are just like, no, mate, this is nothing in common with what's going on in the United States. So there's that. Tennessee, are they right? Ooh, I've lost my place. Tennessee also already has indecency laws that prohibit public nudity and sexual activity. So I don't really understand what's different. Because
I mean, actually, this person's right. Yeah, you should have already been charged under these laws.
it's almost like there was some kind of skirting of those laws. With the next link, we can see, I don't know, things like this, where you've got kids handing over $1 bills to a drag queen who's totally not stripping. We'll go to the next one,
Very
which
strange.
there's another one of these where the same thing is happening with all these kids being taught to hand over $1 bills to a grown man. And then there's the next one, which don't show, don't click show.
Yeah, please don't show me.
No,
No.
don't. I'm serious because this is the one which we showed before, and I think got taken down because it's the one where the drag queen has arse out, tits out, and also has a child by their hand as they walk around shoving money into their underwear. So yeah,
Yeah, I've seen that one before.
maybe this is the reason why you guys are getting targeted. Maybe it's not the evil Republicans. Maybe it's the really, really suspicious people who do this. Let's go back to the whining though, because they go on and on about how, oh my god, why can't I do this in front of kids? So I'm going to skip that because I think we got the point. Several drag queens have also pointed out the bill's language, namely male or female impersonators, could also be used to target trans people. Moving on. Already, states across the United States have introduced nearly 500 anti-trans bills for this year's legislative session alone, and they run a gauntlet of prohibiting trans people from using bathrooms that correspond to their gender, trans health care, and why can't I mutilate children? Damn, Republicans keeping our brother down.
I mean, people act like it's so shocking. Oh, this is the ultimate attack on trans rights. They've got 500 anti-trans bills. They are trying to genocide us. See, we were saying, no, the only reason these have only just been introduced is because this was never a problem before.
No. You want to give
This just never happened before.
I'm probably going to skip most of what I've written just because I'm already bored myself.
It'd be like if they went, oh my god, can you believe they're putting all of these anti-pedophilia laws in? And it's just like, well, these things if these things were never a problem before, why would you introduce the laws?
But I'm bored of the denialism. It's so stuck down. If you want to just give it a scroll, John, just to show, as usual, someone spent a good old lump of time writing all this crap out for some reason. Which is just like more words about how I'm being hurt. Why you can't dance in front of kids with your tits out?
Can you imagine, like, you're in the Bible. Just imagine for a moment you're in the Bible, okay? And it's the day before Cain and Abel happens. No one's ever been murdered before.
All right.
And then the day after Cain and Abel happens, you go, where have all these anti-murder laws come from, eh? This is just trying to genocide normal, average, everyday people. Can you believe this?
Took my jab.
I was just an average, everyday murderer, and now look at what I've got to put up with.
Although they do say in here, I've noticed this pop up, some probably people have as well. They blamed the shooting, they're talking about the shooting in Nashville, as opposed to guns, on trans people, despite the fact that 98% of mass shooters are cis men. Which are just... I'm really getting, as you may have noticed the other day, you get the next meme. I'm getting a lot of work out of this meme. It keeps being true, though.
Oh yeah, it's a fun meme.
I've posted this underneath some woman who was just like, see, rapists can be white men too. And it was just like, love, Rotherham. It's just keeps happening. It's just like per capita, I don't know what that means. But we'll go back to the whining real quick, in which they say, we want to talk about protecting kids. Well, my question is, what about the queer kids? What about the trans kids? These kids are at far more risk of suicide, mental health, and blah, blah, blah. No mention of homosexual or bisexual kids.
And I just really want to hammer this home. These people were already at risk of suicide, mental and physical health issues, etc., etc., etc. That's what makes them so vulnerable to rhetoric and makes them so vulnerable to ideology that tells them the only reason you feel bad is because you're actually in the wrong body. Here, put this dress on, you'll feel better. And then they do, and they go, I guess this is me now, but I still want to effing kill myself.
But I find it great because, as I mentioned earlier, again, a number 2 example here where they mention, LGBTQ, but then when asked, well, what groups? They just say queer kids and trans kids. I mean, neither of those exist. But it's T and Q plus, again. You may have known, like, the LGB movement was backing up away from all of this. Like, you got Gays Against Groomers, or LGBT Alliance, etc.
A lot of them like, oh, guys, this is a bit far.
They've been like, what has this got? I'm not a lesbian unless I suck penis. What the hell are these people doing here? So they've all backed off. But at the same time, I have noticed the TQ plus groups have also just backed off in their own group as well here. As you can see from this individual, who's just like, yeah, no, that group's under attack, but there are no concerns for someone who's being bullied for being gay or something in high school. That's not even something that pops in these people's minds as a concern within their community. Instead, it's just about how do we trans kids. That's the only thing in which they're like, well, that's the frontier in which I'm interested.
Well, they need the vanguard. The people promoting these movements aren't going to have children of their own.
Yeah.
So they need to take somebody else's children and turn them into their political minions.
But we'll end it off with what the real priority is, because Times has it. This is in Scotland, which a podcast describing how a 3-year-old American boy is allowed by his mother to live out his childhood as a girl has been promoted in for Scottish teachers as part of the Being Transgender Educational Resources. That has to be an American boy.
Because I knew everything about the world when I was 3 years old.
I just love you're a Scottish teacher. They come to you and be like, well, this American 3-year-old says they're a girl, so you've got to start teaching the Scottish kids. No, just no.
I wanted to be a transformer when I was 3.
No, he's got really rock solid logic.
All right, okay, all right.
The episode ends with Mac saying, if a girl can be a senator or an astronaut or a plumber, if a girl can wear pants and have short hair, if a girl can have a penis, what is a girl anyway? That's a good jump. It's like, well, if women can be in work anymore, then you might as well have a cock.
To be fair, he had me for the first half. If a woman can be an astronaut or a plumber, I'm just thinking you're right. Those aren't very feminine things to do.
Oh, but I love that is actually where the reasoning comes from. It's just like women are allowed in the workforce. Then what really is a woman? Basically, this is the narrator in this story talking as well. Who's bringing up penises. What is a girl anyway? Who gets to decide if you're a boy or a girl? And then the 3-year-old responds, me, to that question. Why are you talking to your 3-year-old about penis, for one?
Yeah.
But Mac describes the conversation she had with friends who have older transgender daughters. Weird. Yeah, circles. They are starting their hormone treatments to stave off the dreaded male puberty. Like mine, their daughters would rather die than turn into men. Yeah, okay, I mean, it's just... I'm sorry to keep bringing it up. I don't even like doing segments about transgenderism because it's also mad, but it just doesn't end.
Right, Joker.
And you get this stuff of, I'd rather my children be dead than not trans. It's just like, okay.
Okay, maybe child services need to come and have a word.
Yeah, CPS, this mother and her friends are all insane. And are abusing their children by the sounds of it.
Every single one of their children has recently come out as transgender, all one after the other. Is there something to be concerned about here?
Anyway, another good day for Tennessee, which they're just like, so that's good news. And the movement, I think, has now fully divorced itself from the LGB. Because when we go into interviews with such people, it's like, well, what's the issue in your community, this LGBTQ plus community you keep talking about? The LGBT part never even gets a mention. It's not even part of the conversation anymore. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Symposium series, this episode on sophists and sophistry. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.